Upset my sister and now she is not talking to me. More info. My sister, 29 female, got engaged last year and asked me, 26 female, to be one of her bridesmaids. I had been planning to dye my hair a bright color, standard for me. I have been changing my hair color for about a decade and was growing out my last color when she got engaged. When she got engaged, she initially said I couldn't dye my hair until after her wedding, because she didn't want me to have colored hair at her wedding. I offered to wear a wig, which she staunchly refused because she thought it would look fake, tacky. My family was on her side and backed up that I couldn't have colored hair at her wedding, and I said I would dye my hair back to my natural color before her wedding. Wedding is now coming up and a year later, I'm really not feeling comfortable changing my hair for months for one day. There have been several times leading up to the wedding where my sister has asked, demanded things of me that crossed my own boundaries, and I feel strongly about my hair. I let her know I didn't feel comfortable changing my hair for the wedding, but that my color was grown out enough that I could pull my hair back and it wouldn't be visible in pictures. I know that I said I would change my hair, but I explained to her I really didn't feel like I had a choice at the time. My sister is furious and has blocked me. I don't know how to proceed and the wedding is coming up. I don't feel close to my sister because she hasn't been very supportive of me for a few years, but I also didn't expect this reaction from her. At this point, and because of her behavior over the last year, I was planning to distance myself from her after the wedding but didn't think she would notice because she only really talks to me to complain about her life, and I figured she'd be absorbed with newlywed stuff for a while. Even though I don't feel close with her, I also don't want to cause drama, upset at her wedding, but her reaction feels really out of proportion to me. How do I engage with my sister? Is it worth it to try and talk with her when she doesn't want to talk to me? Too long did not read. Told my sister I didn't want to dye my hair for her wedding and now she is not speaking to me. Honestly, it sounds like the problem is solving itself. When your family gives you shit, just shut them down. I offered compromises and sister chose to cut me out instead. There's nothing more to say on the topic, so if that's all you want to talk about right now, this conversation isn't gonna work. I'll call you next week to talk about whatever you want to talk to them about. Is this really worth the drama? Just wait to dye your hair. She's your sister. But you did say would dye your hair to your natural color before the wedding and now you don't want to. That does send mixed messages, and if your sister is a highly strung person planning a wedding and getting stressed, of course she's going to be angry. I love colorful hair, but I wouldn't place it above my relationship with my sister. That's incredibly immature, especially since you told her you would change it for one day. Yeah, sucky as it is, I would make the sacrifice for her special day. I think it would be way cooler to have one bridesmaid in the pictures with a Cyndi Lauper dye job, but it's not my wedding. As silly as it sounds, my brother wanted me to wear peg leg, tux pants just like the other groomsmen. I have seen far fewer more disagreeable fashions. If it's wanted to look like a circus impresario, I would have gotten real riding pants. But, his and his wife-to-be's day, and I got all of the seafood I could eat at the buffet, so, in the end, it was all good. I don't think you should have to damage your hair even further by bleaching, dyeing it for just one day. Wearing a high-quality wig or pulling your hair back are both reasonable options. I personally would spend extra and get a high-quality wig that blends well. If your sister protests a well-blended wig in a natural color, she's being unreasonable. I'm not 100% sure what the problem is. You've been dyeing your hair crazy colors for over a decade and your sister says you gotta wear a normal color for gasp one day. It's not like you have an issue with changing colors or you caring about the damage you're doing to your hair long term. You just don't want to do something because it's being a request from your sister who's so close to you she asked you to be a bridesmaid. Just change your hair to a crazy color after the wedding. I honestly don't understand why you're being a brat about it. Can't believe so many people are on Op side. Sister doesn't want tacky hair in lifelong pictures and Op agreed to it a year ago, and now that it's come down to it she's changing her mind. You sound selfish. Okay, so your sister is going to have the biggest day of her life and specifically asked you not to dye your hair. So, you dyed your hair and justified it by saying you would dye it back. Now her wedding is coming and you're not following through on what you said you'd do because, of course, changing your hair to a natural color for your sister's biggest lifetime event would be an inconvenience to you. Now you're shocked she's upset. After you did what she specifically asked you not to do for her wedding. Maybe she's been acting like this because you're an inconsiderate and selfish person who seems to think you can disregard the feelings of those around you, while expecting them to consider your own feelings.